look at the fit, lit from my head to my toes, they I wanna sip of the drip, watch out when they getting too close, ay. Turn it up, cause I come and cut, say, don't you interrupt, everybody watch me, gonna level up, no you cannot touch me, chillin' in the cut, dodging paparazzi, big bands feeling generous, got a big house, that's my preference, sitting pretty at the top, Mount Everest, yeah, bossy, dripping sauce, cash spells like I'm Severus, puffing on the best asparagus, take my sweet time, never in a rush, cause I'm bossy, dripping sauce, yeah, I'm elevated, yeah, so innovative, accelerating, bossy, I'm elevated, yeah, so innovative, accelerating, bossy.
Better run when you hear that. I said run when you hear that. Better run when you hear that. I said
Run when you hear that. Better run when you hear that. I said
run when you hear that. I said better I said run when you hear that. Run when you hear that. Better I said run when you hear that. Run when you hear that.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Turn it way up, turn it way up.
Crank that volume, turn it way up, way up. Volume, turn it way up, way up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up, way up. Put your hands, put your city, put your fans, put your state up.
Yeah, look, I ain't about to tell you twice. We on different levels and you better get the balance right. We not eye to eye, we are not alike. You couldn't even be me in another life. Don't hit me on my phone, yeah, I'll get back when I'm posted. They wanna blackmail cause they see I'm going posted. I've been at the top since I came over. I've been in control, yeah, it's game over. Born great, no, I ain't asked for it. Chasing the throne, I'm coming back for it. I never quit, fading the black for it. Never hang it up, I need a black for it. Right or wrong, you can try to fake it, it won't last long. Right or wrong, running down the cup, but it's the team strong. I would never let up, I'ma last forever. That's how I'm moving on this side. I would never let up, I'ma last forever. That's how I'm moving on this side.
Episode 3 of the Voice of the Village podcast. I'm Austin Fisher, joined by my partner Levi Davis yet again, and soccer's been on the agenda this summer, partner, including Lionel Messi's first game with Inter Miami, and what a game it was, winning that game on a last-second free kick. A lot of people say that was scripted. What do you think about that one?
I mean, honestly, it was just a great goal. We were talking earlier that it was scripted, but maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe the MLS kind of threw a little book from the NFL, making a little script action for a game.
I mean, Roger Goodell knows how to make his money, but regardless if it was scripted or not, it was a heck of a goal. I mean, to put it in the top corner like that, you can't script the beauty of that free kick in itself. And we've been talking a lot of soccer in here recently between the Women's World Cup. We had the girls soccer team here from Lexington the other day, and today we're bringing in the boys soccer team and a couple members, including Zach Turlow, Brody Eric, and Terrence Corbin. Good to have you guys on here as always. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing excellent. I do appreciate it. Brody, how you feeling?
I'm doing just fine. I'm ready for season to start up, so
There
just
you
waiting.
go. I mean, yeah, it's right around the corner. It's crazy how fast this has snuck up on us. We got scrimmage in a week, and it's all coming downhill fast. And Terrence Corbin over here on the end. How you doing today, Terrence?
I'm doing good. Ready for season to start as well.
Sounds like we're already locked in, partner. And you're going to be leading the majority of this, considering I'm also a member of the team. I'm going to be asking questions and answering them as possible. So I guess let's take off flying right now. What do you got to ask us, partner?
Yeah, well, let's just get your guys' thoughts about the little messy goal. I know Brody in the middle here was kind of being controversial about it. Not really a Messi fan, but Zach, what do you have to say about that goal?
I mean, like Austin said, you could have scripted a foul, but you can't script that free kick, top corner. It was beautiful.
Yeah, Brody, what about you?
I definitely have a biased opinion, being such a strong Ronaldo fan, but so I think it was scripted. But I'm still happy that he's here and bringing attention to U.S. soccer, so I can't be mad about it.
I feel like I would bring up a point here. If you guys saw the Kylian Mbappe, $1.1 billion would be between the transfer fee and the receivable money in a single year for the Saudis. I saw someone mention it's a good thing they don't like basketball because a lot of our NBA stars will be gone in like a heartbeat. But $1.1 billion, that's like generational money. Like grandkids, great-grandkids aren't going to have to work. Like that's ridiculous to me. But, I mean, Brody's goat going over there, but Messi coming to put on a show for us Americans. To me, that's what defines greatness, but I guess that's up to each and every person. Terrence, what do you think about that Messi goal?
I mean, I just agree with both of them. They both have good points. It might have been scripted. I mean, you never know, but it was a good goal at the end.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Messi, he is the GOAT, in my opinion. Clearly, Brody disagrees with me, but it's whatever. So, I mean, but yeah, Messi coming to the U.S. going to get a lot of attention to soccer. Maybe boost it up against maybe some NBA games, maybe some NFL games, so we'll see about that.
I don't think there's ever really greatness that can be defined quite as much as Messi. You don't see people like Messi going to Lakers games, but you see people like LeBron going to Messi's first game in America. Just the amount of celebrities that were at that game, there was just so much wealth at that game. I can't even explain it. Just so many billionaires there to watch one person in his debut, plays a half hour and scores an incredible goal to win the game. Like that. I mean, really, even if it is scripted, that's a beautiful script to write. It's hard to define something quite like that. But we're going to stay on the topic because we got, well, myself included, the boys soccer team here with us for Lexington today, and we're going to be talking about our expectations for this season, and I guess we can break it down game by game and day by day. Any questions for us to start out, partner?
I mean, obviously, first game coming up, Ontario. I know you guys all look forward to that one every year. So kind of talk to me about the offseason so far. I know you guys are playing in Worcester League. Kind of talk to me about how that went and some off-season practices you guys have been doing so far.
Yeah, Worcester League went well. We were able to figure out a lot of pieces, like where guys are going to play, and just kind of get together, play as a team, and hopefully build some chemistry that'll carry over through the season.
I think it was good. I think we got to see a lot of kids play that don't necessarily get to play as much during the spring, like some of us do for teams like the Strikers. And I think it's good for fitness and stuff like that. Really gets us set for season, gets the motivation, the mindset, along with things like Tiffin Camp. Really shows like how hard we're gonna have to work this year.
I can agree with that. Summer league is always good. We like to get out and play during the summer, so we know like how to play with each other once the season starts. It just helps us know where people want to play, where people excel when they play, where we play best as a team. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll add on to that a little bit. I like Worcester League a lot, definitely for the chemistry building purposes as well, but what we don't see a lot of times is it starts a lot earlier than that. I mean, we've been lifting since January, doing a bunch of team building stuff, futsal, twice a week, and we get outdoors and do some open field stuff starting in May. Like, we are out there now 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, sometimes more depending on what it is we're doing, but really just getting it down, just the fundamentals, the important stuff, and building team chemistry. That's the most important thing. I mean, a lot of people look at our team and they question how we have so much success. It's really not that we have any individuals that are extremely good on their own. It's just that as a unit, we just play so well together, and I guess that starts at Worcester League.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about that last week with the girls, that the culture and a team aspect. I know you guys obviously have a strong one, so do the girls. But, Brody, you mentioned Tiffin Camp. Let's kind of get into that a little bit. I know you guys had a final game that was kind of crazy, so let's kind of talk about that and how that impacted your team a little bit.
So we've been playing them, at least me and Zach, since our sophomore year at Tiffin Camp. It's Twinsburg, big D1 school, so we always have a lot of heart going into that game. They beat us the one year in the championship, so that really got some of us down. So it's always a fight every time we go out and play them. And it's just kids are fighting for playing time. Everybody wants to go out there and do their best, and sometimes that leads to stuff, and yeah, you got to move on and deal with it.
I see you looking over here at me like you want me to speak on something that happened in particular. You want to bring that up, or you want me to explain it?
I'll go ahead. So, we were tied, and Austin made a very controversial tackle. That, as a defender, I love and am not against. So, but it was a PK, which started a bit of a brawl. So, I mean, it just shows that we got to try and stay controlled as a team. We got to keep the right mindset going forward.
Yeah, wasn't a pretty tackle, but I was talking to my outside back at that point, Gabe Schmidt, because we both came on at the same time. He always asks me, you want to go on the right or the left, and usually my response every time is like the same thing. I don't know what it was that day, but I wanted to change it up, and I really think to myself, like the butterfly effect, what happens if I just gave the normal response? Yeah, I'll go out left. Like, would he have been put in that situation too, or like what would have happened? You start to think about that stuff, but yeah, that did happen. We ended up ending the game early, won on PKs with a backup keeper, so that's a story to tell for the summer, but I mean, that was our last Tiffin camp, and I think it went out probably in the most interesting way possible. Yeah, I guess Tiffin camp champions by default. I really didn't feel like we earned it by any means, but I mean, we have that to our name.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got the Instagram post from Tiffin, champions on it, so I mean, hey, win's a win, so I mean, you got to take it when you get them, so. But yeah, kind of talk to me about Ontario. I know big rivalry game like we were talking about earlier. Kind of how you guys are going to prepare for them. I know they lost Gage Weaver, obviously. Kind of what's your guys' thoughts about them coming up? We'll start with Brody or Terrence, yeah.
Ontario, they always have a decent amount of good players. So we know that they're going to be decent coming in. They're going to play hard. They're going to try their best to win. They're going to do everything they can. But honestly, we just have to play our game. We just have to train hard during the summer, get in condition, and then we have to just learn how to play together as a team in the scrimmages and stuff. Then once the first game rolls around, we should be ready.
Brody, what about you?
I think it's something we definitely can't lose focus towards. I know it may not be as big of a game as people say it used to be, but it's still, we can't ever play down to a level because we think something may come easier than it used to, because then I think that'll go throughout the season, which has happened to us before. So I think we just need to stay focused and push through game by game, and we'll come out on top.
Yeah, Zach, what about you?
Yeah, kind of what he said, like, to stay focused. We know a lot of people on the teams, but we can't really be friendly with them during the games. The games, you just kind of have to focus on your playing ability, and then after the games, you can talk to people like your friends, but during the game, you just have to stay focused.
Yeah.
Maybe not while shaking hands like last year, but we'll move on from that. Yeah, but about Ontario, they're a school that puts a target on our back year after year. We usually see them multiple times per season, which is why it's such a destined rivalry. It's a good litmus test as your first game of the season, and then it shows how much you've grown at the end of the season. I feel like sophomore year is probably the best representation of that. 0-0 tie at Ontario, which is where we're playing this year. Actually, I don't think varsity scored a goal the first 3 or 4 games. It was a rough skid.
Yeah.
Our defense was strong, but until we found the back of the net a couple of games later, it was definitely hard. But you know, you go into the district final game, you go from 0-0. What was the final score of that district final game?
6-3.
6-3. I mean, you go from no goal scored in 80 minutes to a goal scored in the first 30 seconds. I mean, that is how much a season can change in the matter of a couple months. So it's going to be interesting to see who the better team is, I guess, at the beginning of the season and at the end. But lots of room for improvement between now and Ontario, and obviously between our first matchup and hopefully our second one later on in the district.
Yeah, like you guys are talking about the district. It seems like every year you guys are always in the district final, either against Ontario or somebody else. Kind of talk to me about your guys' goals, obviously. I know making districts, making regionals is one of those. Zach, kind of talk to me about some other goals for you guys.
So conference games are really big for us. We want to hopefully contend for our conference this year, and then going against teams like Worcester and Ashland, who last year beat us, just try and get maybe some revenge in those games and pull off some wins against them.
Yeah, Brody, what do you got to say?
I agree with what Zach said, but especially the tournament run, I think there's definitely some teams that we may come up against that we may not get the chance to play. Or I know as seniors, it's our last year. We're trying to go as far as we possibly can, because we know we can make it far and we have a chance at winning this year. So I think that's a huge part of it right now.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously last year you guys made a regional. I think this might be one of your guys' best years, obviously. The talent you guys have, I mean, you guys lost Alex and Luke, but other than that, you guys didn't really lose that much. So, Terrence, kind of talk to me about being a senior this year, kind of your leadership goal like this year for the underclassmen.
For this year, I really just want to help everyone grow. I want to help everyone like be a better player or a better person from the beginning of the season to the end. And I know we lost like people, but we lose people every year, and we always come back. So I mean, we lost Alan and Luke. They were like great players, and Jax as well. They were all great players, but like we always have other people to replace them to always fill in that spot.
Yeah.
I agree with what Terrence said to a big degree. Especially sophomore year, they wrote us off after we graduated. Like Ryan and Teddy, a couple All-Americans. Like it was truly difficult for a lot of people to conceive that we would still be contending. But we still had 9 seniors that year, and even this year, after losing the likes of Al and Luke, we've got 14 seniors, which is by far and easily the biggest class that's come through Lexington soccer, as long as I can remember. And the girls too. We talked about this. Just having so much senior leadership is so good for on the field and off the field too. I mean, it's a matter of not just building the team, but building the program. That's what's so important. I mean, I can imagine all the seniors my freshman year. They never took it easy on us because they wanted us to develop quickly as players that could step on the field and fill their shoes as fast as possible when they graduated, which I feel like a lot of us have done a pretty good job of. So it's just a matter of pushing the younger guys, which I feel like we do a pretty good job of at practices and stuff now. But once we step on the game field, we have to show them what it takes to play at the varsity level, especially against the likes of Worcester and Ashland.
Yeah, Pete talks to us at the beginning of the year. If the year after us isn't successful, it's on us. We've got to help the people around us grow so that we can continue to build a successful program.
Yeah, I've never really heard that before. That's kind of an interesting take. I mean, Peter does have a point. Like, you guys like are training the future. Like, besides you guys, there's like nobody looking like for them and kind of helping them grow, like you guys are saying. But what are some people kind of in your underclassmen years that you guys kind of looked up to? We'll start with you, Zach.
So when I was a freshman, Ryan and Teddy, I got to practice with them some in the summer, but COVID did kind of mess with. We couldn't really play with each other. We had to keep the squads separate so that if there was an outbreak, we could have one quarantine. And then Nate and Gage, my sophomore year, playing similar position to Nate, he would always talk to me about like doing things, and Gage would let me know like if I did something wrong, other things to look for. So. Yeah.
So my freshman year, it had to have been Ryan in the beginning because he was the first upperclassman I ever got to practice with pods because of COVID in our small groups. And then throughout the year, I developed a bond with Sam Reitler, and his intensity and his like passion for the game really, I thought, rubbed off on me, and I kind of share similar views on things with him. And then going into sophomore year, Jacob Hathaway had a big influence on me, and his attitude and being positive, but yet he would always put out his hardest work, and even if it wasn't always in the main spotlight and whatnot, he always took care of what he had to do and got it done.
Yeah, Terrence, what about you?
Oh, my freshman year, it was really Ryan Parker, and then our coach, Coach Potter. He actually helped grow my love for the game a lot, so that's where I really developed my love for the game. He helped me just develop as a player. And then my sophomore year is definitely Jack Deberschmidt, because he was like the center back. He helped me out throughout all those games. He was just nice, and he helped to grow me as a player.
I feel like Jack Slamp is a very underrated pick here, simply because he shares a very similar path with me. Most of the people in his class went and played varsity his sophomore year, but like him, I stayed back and played JV, swung for the tournament. Junior year, spent most of my time on the bench, but his senior year, he ended up, making a huge impact and helping that team along their tournament run. So, just his passion for not even just soccer, just sports in general. Even if it means he's on the bench 78 of the 80 minutes, he's always in it to win it with the team. He never misses a practice. He's always there, working hard, pushing everybody else, and making sure everybody gets to their maximum potential.
Yeah, I think Jax is just like, I think he just like feeds off the energy and obviously gives energy to you guys. Like, kind of talk to me about like what does the energy do from like the crowd? Like, I know that a bunch of people kind of try to show off for your guys' games, me included, obviously, but kind of talk to me about how that motivates you guys to just win games day in and day out.
Yeah, so the crowd obviously plays a big factor, like just supporting us, pushing us to do better, especially the Worcester game our sophomore year. We had a lot of people there, and we were able to come out with a 2-0 win, which was huge for our OCCs that year. But on the flip side, like opposing crowds, we can't let that get into our heads. Sometimes we lose some focus there, but we just kind of have to focus on bringing ourselves up and playing our own game.
Yeah.
I know it gets a lot of people like mentally ready for games. I know there will be times where Pete will try and even connect with the crowd to try and get us hyped up. He does a great job of trying to keep everybody focused, but at the same time, like uplifted and like ready to play. So he knows we're not worrying, thinking too much about things. So he does a really good job of that. I think the support we get at Lexington has grown over time, and I think people have done really well of coming out to support, and I think that's a huge part of our success.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. The crowd does play a big role. Like I remember our sophomore year when we played Bay Village, like their crowd was crazy. Like they fed off that energy, and I know that. But I also think that the players on the field, like when you see someone like going for a tackle and like make a good tackle, that like hypes you up too as a player. Like that helps more than anything. Like the crowd helps, but I think my teammates doing something does more.
I mean, they tell you to tune the crowd out a lot of times when you're on the field, but depending on where you play and I guess the time of day, that it's almost impossible to tune out some of the crowds. I mean, going back to what Terrence said with Bay Village, they brought an entire pep band with them. It's very difficult to tune them out when they're marching around the track at halftime. I'm going to be honest, like it's kind of intimidating. It really is, because it just shows the entire community behind them. And obviously Lexington did a great job of having our fans show up and do stuff as well, but Bay Village is just bigger, respectfully. Yeah. So obviously they're going to go out and they're going to match our numbers percentage-wise, but, you know, that's a lot more than us because of how big, I guess, their community is. It was just impressive that the support they've got. But I think even since our sophomore year, like, our support has grown a ton. Our community has I guess, realized that we do have a really good shot to go far. Kind of similar to how the basketball program had stepped up over the years, like a decade ago. They weren't getting too many people there, and then all of a sudden every game is starting to sell out, which could be very similar to this year, especially with Fogel getting older and older. But I think this year with 14 seniors, like we mentioned before, there's a lot of hype within this program, and I think we're going to do well with bringing in a lot of fans.
Yeah, and I think the fan part of it, like the more success you guys have, the more people like want to show out, like you said. But you guys were talking about Coach Peter. It seems like everybody in the program likes him. Like he's like one of the best coaches in Lexington history, probably. So, kind of talk to me, Brody or Zach, kind of how he impacts you from a day-to-day standpoint. Kind of the unique styles of coaching that he has, maybe compared to like club or something like that.
He always does a really good job of trying to make a strong personal relationship with you, and he goes a lot off of that. So he gets to know you so well to a point where he knows when things are wrong or things are right, and that's how he coaches you and knows how to help you from that standpoint. And other coaches will just like, they'll just criticize you or they'll push you and stuff like that, and he still does that. But I mean, everything is to a common goal of making you better and like building the bond with him that he keeps with all his players even after high school and their further careers.
Yeah, in the best way possible. He's almost like a high school kid at times.
Yeah.
He's just like very relatable. He talks to us like we talk to him. We get talk back and forth. Like he said, just building personal relationships is really important, so that people feel like they can go to him, they can talk to him, figure out what they need to be doing, and that helps us a lot.
I can agree with that. I don't know, he knows how to communicate with us, I guess. But then he can also get serious at certain times. And then he has like that killer instinct in him. So like when you want to win, like you know he wants to win too. Like you got to do it for him. You got to do it for everyone around you. So like he's just a well-rounded coach.
There's friend Peter and then there's Coach Peter. And a lot of times it's very hard to read which is which, especially as of late. So it is very scary. You can go out there joking and he can be like Coach Peter on certain days. But for the most part, it's definitely good to build a relationship with your players as, you know, more of a friend to come across as comfortable. I mean, we have breakfast at his house once every year, which I think is an awesome thing to build team bonding. We'll sit around and we'll watch, a Premier League game or whatever and joke around with each other. Just have fun, eat all the breakfast food in the world. It's a great bonding experience for the team. It gets not only the players comfortable with the coaches, but also, I guess, some of the JV guys that swing over to varsity, because we do that during the tournament season, gets them comfortable as well with, like, you know, the relationship they're getting ready to build as they transition to varsity. So I can definitely respect the kind of, I guess, coach and friend that Pete is to me. It definitely has made an impact on me. It's made me enjoy the sport a lot more and not, I guess, stress as much about each and every thing I do.
Yeah. And last year during the girls' tournament run, he jumped into Buck Morton's arms. So that kind of, like, like shows you like he cares about other people. Like he's gonna go out there and support other teams, like not just you guys but the girls as well. And I know you guys try to show up for the girls. Kind of talk to me about what do you think about the girls team? Like we were talking about last week, they're obviously looking to win a conference, make a district. Like kind of talk to me about how you guys support each other, like going to their games and them coming to your guys' games.
Well, I think they're in a very similar situation with us, like you said, with the seniors. So I think a lot of them are pushing to go far this year. They have a lot of big goals, like we do. And I know over the years they've lost big players like Lauren Alexander, goal scorers, and things like that. But I think the way they rotate players, and just like we do, is something that not many teams do. And I think they have a ton of talent, all the way from the defense up top. And I don't think they'll have any problem doing well this year. And the way they show up to our games and we go to theirs just shows that, like, even for all the sports in Lexington, I feel like we all kind of, like, show out for each other, and we're there because we're all, like, one big group, sort of. And I think that kind of pushes people to play as well because we're always trying to be better than them. So I think it gives us that sense of, like, it's like a drive almost that makes us play better. And then especially in the playoffs, like I know when we were there, the girls all throughout the year, it's always, oh, we're going to have the better record, we're going to make it farther. And them making it to regionals for the first time in a while gave us drive. I know we lost that game to Lima, but it definitely gave us a different sense of we have to win this game now and keep going. So yeah, it just gives you that mental aspect to it.
Yeah, I think they're returning a strong core. They lost a couple of seniors last year, but they similar to us, will be able to fill those spots. So I think they'll have, after the run last year, they should be able to put together another one. And like he said, the sports just kind of showing out for each other. We all want the other sports at our school to succeed. It's more entertaining to watch and support it that way.
Yeah. Also, what do you guys say about that?
I agree with that. It's kind of that band of brothers sense, and I think the brotherhood that all the sports programs share is definitely a great thing, simply because, when if you have a brother, you're very competitive with him, but you feel a sense of wanting to defend him at the same time. So you're very passionate about, I guess, the team. Like for us, we're very passionate about the girls' team doing good, but at the same time, as a program, the boys want to do better than the girls. So the best thing for both of us would be for both of us to make the furthest run possible. So we kind of push each other to be like one step in front of the other. So I think it's definitely a good thing to be competitive, but also having each other's back at the same time.
Yeah, and I think it's just unique that we were talking about Ontario earlier. Like, you guys play on the same day. Like, you guys can both, like, support each other in the same day. So that's kind of unique that I don't really see other schools doing. So clearly we're doing something right there.
Yeah, I think so. I guess I'll ask a question even from a player's perspective. Is there a team on the roster, more specifically like in the conference, that you guys just have a sudden urge, like a target on their back? You really just, you want to finally go out there and beat them this year and really establish yourself in the conference, Zach?
Terrence, actually.
I'm the Worcester Generals for sure.
Yeah, you were very confident in wanting to answer that one.
Yeah, I was sitting over here fidgeting. But yeah, we play with a lot of their team, in clubs. So like we always want to go out and beat them. But then after the game, we're always like friendly. So I mean, like we want to go out and beat them because it's always between us and them normally for the conference title. So yeah, that's the team.
Beating them especially. We heard a lot of trash talk from them at club practice all year, even from the ones who might not have seen the field.
Wow.
But them and Ashland as well, we haven't been able to beat Ashland yet in our time on varsity, so that's another one that we're really focused on.
Yeah, I think we definitely have that drive to beat those conference teams because the games mean so much to us and us having friends on the teams and things like that. But there'll all be those games like Bay and Lima, and those games are just, they're different to us now, especially us seniors, because we've been playing them for years on end now, especially Lima, playing them like Ontario mostly twice a year, and it's just, those games mean so much to some of us that we have to treat them like it's the last time we'll ever play them, even if it is, because that'll put us at our best, and just losing to them just really gets us down, and it's hard to hard to come back from, especially at the end of last year. I know there for a while it was, like Terrence was saying, it is almost hard to believe that it was done and that they had ended it, and then watching them win really gave us a sense of how, okay, we need to beat them now, and then that'll be us this year.
Yeah, just a sense of how close we were last year. Yeah. The one goal difference to state champs.
Yeah, it's, I mean, sometimes it's just the spin of the ball that can make the world of the difference. I mean, you think about we were up in that game in the second half as well. It's just crazy to think about, one deflection of a ball or something different, and we can end up winning that game and going a step further. But I guess that's how every sport really is. I mean, you look at Ontario's baseball team, for example.
Man.
They had a couple of really good rolls and bounces here and there. They made it all the way to the state championship game, which is somewhere I don't even think they dreamed of being. I think their goal was maybe getting out of districts, and they just kept taking that extra step more and more, which is why I think our non-conference schedule is so impressive and important. I'm glad that we play teams that are an extra step above our conference in a lot of places, teams that we are going to see in the tournament, and if not, some of the strongest Division III programs and some of the middle of the pack Division I programs as well. It definitely gets us a good litmus test during the regular season because, I mean, even Peter says it doesn't matter what our record is in the regular season, just so much as that we're competitive and we're going out there and actually playing for the name on the jersey. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
I mean, it's crazy. Like you guys were saying, one wrong play, one right play, the whole table can get moved, and you guys can potentially make it to states. I mean, I think that's what kind of makes sports so unique in a sense. Is like one day any team could win. It's just whatever happens. It's unique to watch, and hopefully you guys get some right plays this year and some right things go your way, and maybe you guys can make it to states this year.
I also think there's just that sense of, I guess, togetherness with this team that I haven't really experienced with, or I haven't rather seen with any of the past programs. I mean, I know me and Zach have been on the same team since kindergarten.
Yeah.
It's truly it's an incredible thing. I've been playing with Brody since the 5th grade in club, and obviously Terrence more recently. But it's cool to just go in units and just kind of see how far we've come, and as players and as individuals. I mean, I've grown bonds with a lot of people on this team that have lasted over a decade. It's truly incredible. Zach, how does that bond kind of drive you to push your other teammates that you've been with since the beginning? How do you take that next step in pushing them as individuals?
Yeah, so playing with them so long, I definitely know their play style and how they're acting. If they're down on themselves, you have to build them up. But then there's also the other side. If they can do better, not really criticize them, but kind of give them some motivation to do better.
Yeah, and I know, Birdie, I was very hard on you when we first started playing club. I used to play goalkeeper, for those of you that don't know. Birdie was always my center back, and I think I would scream at him more than anybody on the field combined. So, Birdie, explain how that kind of pushed you.
Well, always, whether it's you, my dad, any coach, or getting yelled at has kind of always pushed me to do better and almost kind of prevent it from ever happening again, and almost give that sense of accomplishment or proudness to the people that I'm working towards. So if I ever do anything wrong, or if I'm ever getting yelled at or whatnot, I always try and make it better, and then I always try and think of that when I'm also the one, say, criticizing that I do sometimes, that I'll admit. But I think it gives people a different drive. I know some people may not like it as much as others and can't take the criticism as much, but I think, especially in my life, it's been a huge part of how I got to where I am today, and I think our team in general does great with it, and it pushes them.
Yeah, and like you said, some people can't always take criticism, so playing with people that long, you kind of know, okay, if I really yell at them, they're going to shut down, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to compliment what they did well so that I can help bring them up to their best player.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good relationship to have, too, that you can kind of dog on others in a joking way and a serious way. That's the important part about building, I guess, relationships with people in general. One last question. We're going to go down the row and just ask, I guess, what are your goals for this season, starting with Zach?
Yeah, so obviously conference title is the first one, and then making a deep tournament run. But we've really got to focus more game by game, especially for the conference ones. Even if we're playing someone who we might think is on the weaker side of the conference, we've got to focus there, because one lapse of focus and it could put that behind us.
So obviously the conference title, like he said, beating all those teams, actually, Pete said our goal this year is to go undefeated with 0 goals scored against us in the conference. So it's big expectations, but I think we can fill them. And then obviously the ultimate goal is the state championship. But I think also something not to lose focus of is leaving the impression on our team that they're not going to be bad now that we are gone, and that it'll continue to be like this, and every year the goal should be conference title, state title, winning games, shutting out teams, and I think that's a huge part of what our goals should be every year, and I don't think we should ever lose that.
Yeah, my goals too are conference title, obviously. And I think the shutout record is on watch. I think we can get that, especially this year. And then I also want to make a state title. Like, I want to win the state title, of course, like every year. And then help just people grow their love for the game, I guess. Help to come back stronger next year if you're coming back, and just have fun.
Yeah, I think those are all really good takes, honestly. That's a great final question to wrap up on. Yeah, I do appreciate Zach, Brody, and Terrence for joining me and Levi today on episode 3 of the Voice of the Village podcast. Had an excellent discussion with the girls team and again here with the boys team. So that was a lot of fun. We're hoping to have a pretty good season here, and which we're going to be covering this throughout the entire fall. So do appreciate everybody tuning in, and hope you will join us in episode 4 as well. Signing off, I'm Austin Fisher, Levi Davis. We will see you in the next episode.